Hello, this is Etienne Bosso for Pics of Asia Photo Critic. Today we're going to review some photos Andrew from Australia sent to me. It's a selection of some of his photos from Asia and most probably China, I think. So I'm going to start with this one. We are going to try later to work on Lightroom a little bit, try to learn some tips about it. So I'm gonna start with this kid. I'm not sure whether this is a boy or a girl. I guess this is a boy. So there's a really nice atmosphere with this photo. What I like is that we can understand something. We can understand this photo was taken maybe in front of the boy's house, in his courtyard or something. We can see the clothes drying behind. We can see some details, maybe the water thing here, the window of the house. So it looks, there's quite a good intimacy in this shot. The kid itself is not directly looking at the camera, I feel, probably looking at Andrew, who was behind the camera. That leaves a strange feeling to the photo, I guess, mostly when you see the look of the boy like that. We don't know whether the kid is trying to pose or surprised by seeing Andrew here. His mouth shows a bit of surprise there. But that gives an interesting feeling. So about the photo itself, well, there's a nice dynamic in it. I like the composition. I like the way you apply the rule of third, having this kid on one side, leaving the rest. Nice empty space here. I like how the lines of the window here get together, create some interesting dynamic. There's also something quite interesting here with this photo. It looks like this boy was having fun wearing this, I don't know, this is a net. Usually I see this net is used to pack fruits. They put fruits into this net and this boy used it as a hat. So I feel this boy was having fun somehow and got just surprised to see someone taking a photo of him. So that's the feeling I get with the photo. So technically speaking, first thing, I am not sure this photo is sharp. Okay, the photo is not big enough to see, but when you look like this, I think there's a lack of sharpness in the boy's face. I think the focus, the sharpness was more, see, at the level of the neck here or the shirt. The eyes lack of focus. So that could have been something that's could have been done better. I really like the symmetry between the circle. You got some round shapes here, whereas you got some more square shapes here. So that kind of comes back together and gives a good symmetry to the photo. There's a lot of empty space here. We might not have needed that. Also, I think the line of the wall here going straight into the boy's face could have been maybe framed more on the side. He would have given a better dynamic to the photo instead of just cutting the line. Lines are very harmonious in photography. Lines help give a direction to the photo. So there's a direction given with the lines, but then the subject is right in the middle and we lose a bit sense of direction on the photo. My eye goes around the photo, but it's kind of lost in which direction it has to go to because the boy is right in the intersection of the lines. So maybe a framing, maybe if Andrew would have moved a little bit on the left and have put the face of the boy somewhere here, we still would have had the clothes here, because this is quite interesting detail, but leaving these lines intact. Now, something I find a little disturbing when I look at this photo first is all these colors behind. Everything is quite white or a bit of brown here, and then we got these striking colors behind, which tend maybe to take the eyes of the subject. It's always best when the subjects take all the attention from the viewer, and these colorful things, it tends to take my eye away from the subject. So maybe it's nice to have that here. I guess this photo, well, we're gonna work later on Lightroom, but this photo would have maybe been more striking on a black and white. I don't think there is any very interesting color we're gonna lose here. Everything is quite pale, very soft colors, except for this cloth, which we don't need. So black and white might have been a good option with that. Well, let's work on what we could do on Lightroom. So the first thing I see on this photo, first time Andrew sent me this photo, it was a bit striking to me. Okay, this magenta cast you can see on the photo. Everything is kind of purplish. I guess Andrew's white balance was a bit confused here. It doesn't add any specific effect to me. It's just strange how this color is here. So Lightroom, very simple. The white balance tool here, that's super easy. The idea is to place this white balance tool on some neutral area, usually gray or white. I usually try to find something, and I can see on the preview here where the result is gonna be. So you can see moving this to a neutral area, we took off this magenta thing. So it's a little bit too yellow to my taste. We can move the slider here a little bit on the blue, and you can see the magenta comes back. So then we can adjust like that. So we lost this color cast. Things are a bit more neutral, but still, I don't feel the colors are giving us something else, something special, something we would lose by turning into black and white. An easy way to do that, so Lightroom has some really nice presets for black and white here. That's, you can see the preview, very interesting. I usually take down the saturation level to first see if I lose any interesting color. So you come back here, drop the colors. Do you feel you lost something? Do you feel you lost some important information that tell us a story about a subject, that gives us an atmosphere, gives us a feeling about the photo? I personally don't think we lose any of that. So this black and white is always missing some contrast, so we can try some of the presets. I do like this here. It's a bit pixelized because of the size of the photo you send me. Careful with the clarity here, okay? I often see photographers adding way too much clarity in their photos. Tends to look fake very easily. So I kind of like these shots. We focus more on the boy. I don't know if you see the difference, but when I see the black and white photo, I just look on the boy. Okay, the boy takes all my attention. Whereas when your photo was in color, the eye was taken by this. The eye was taken a little bit by this reflection of the colors on the window, and there's a really weird purple thing here, but I'm not sure what it is. Maybe a bucket, but the bokeh is so big that we can't tell. So I feel the black and white is kind of helping me here to focus on the boy. So black and white is very easy to adjust with the contrast, more or less contrast. I do like my black and white with a lot of contrast, but I tend to realize that the more I shoot, the more I remove black and white contrast, in my black and white. So it's up to you then. But it's very easy to adjust with this slider, of course. You can also play with a curve. The curve can give you more dark or shadows or highlight. I do prefer to play with a histogram here, which I really like in Lightroom, the way you can directly slide it from the histogram, move it on the right, move it on the left, etc. instead of moving the slider. I found that very intuitive. Then it depends on your taste. About cropping on this photo, while it looks straight, I'm not sure we need this dark area here. Maybe we could have removed a little bit of this. I feel it's a little bit more dynamic because the eye is less taken away by these details we don't need. See the purple thing which was disturbing here completely disappeared. It doesn't matter now. Well, we lost the fact that we can still see it's closed. Maybe, Andrew, you could have closed the aperture a little bit. Having a little more less shallow depth of field would have helped give more details into this clothes behind. Even though they are black and white, we could have understood that was closed and we were maybe in the boys' garden or backyard. Next photo now. So this is something quite familiar to me. I guess this is in Vietnam. I recognize the Vietnamese bus. I recognize the Vietnamese motorbike. That could be in China, but I don't think so. So this woman is carrying a pig into her basket on the motorbike. This is the way people here carry pigs. It is quite funny to see, but if you think about it, I'm not sure how else you would be able to carry a pig on your motorbike. So they put the pig into the basket and bring him to the butcher or to the market. So this is a pan shot Andrew did. Something which is very, very interesting with this shot is how the whole photo is blurry, the movement blur, except for the face of the subject. That is something really nice to do. So this is how panning works. Alright, when you do a panning and the subject is right in front of you, you may have the whole subject being sharp. When doing a panning and the subject is coming towards you or going away from you, only a part of the subject will be sharp. The rest will be completely distorted. You play with that on bicycles, it's really striking. You may have the first half of the bicycle being blurry and the subject sitting on the bicycle being sharp. So, not sure, Andrew, if this is a lucky shot, but this is really well done. Alright, we really focus on the face of the subject. What I could say about this photo, well, the cropping first. Alright, it would have been nice to see the end of the motorbike, even though I know we don't lose, we can even see the face, the ear and the eye of the pig here. We do not lose any information, but it just looks a little bit strange to cut the photo like this. I know it was going fast. I know it was not an easy shot to do, but still we miss a little piece of the tire here and a bit of the basket. So once again, as I was talking before about with the little boy's photo, I do not think there are some great colors here. The bus is very colorful compared to our subject, so it's already taken our eye a little bit away from it. The subject is wearing some basic raincoats, black and blue, a red helmet, this little green thing that we do not know what it is. It's a little bit disturbing as well. I still think this photo could have been a nice black and white, as you can see on the previews there. When you have a messy background, when things are a little bit messy on your background, or generally in the photo, black and white helps getting rid of this mess. If you have a lot of trash on the road or things like this, black and white will help get rid of all that. So, as before, I'm gonna start by decreasing my saturation. See what it looks. I kind of like it like this, maybe a lack of contrast. What I'm gonna do here, instead of playing with the contrast, I'm gonna play with the sliders. I think we can add a little bit of brightness, of exposure on the photo. So, highlights, whites, and exposure is a different thing, right? You move different parts of the histogram. You can see on this photo we have really little black. Only this area is black. I would add a little bit of black on the photo to add a bit more contrast. You can see, maybe not so much, maybe like that. Okay, and we could make the photo a little, put a bit more of whites in the photo. I guess not so much contrast. I guess it's nice like that. Something Andrew could have done as well, to increase the fact that we focus on our subject, is add a little bit of brightness on the face of the subject. So what I can do with a brush, we cannot tell now because of my mask overlay, but adding a little bit of brightness, and we can play, once you add the brush on a photo, you can then play with a slider to see exactly where you want to get. That's too much, that's something better. Maybe we could have had a little bit of clarity, not that much, and why not add some sharpness, not so much. So the focus is even more on the face. Also, because the subject is not right on the edges, adding a little bit of vignetting would help us enhance the subject. You can see the preview now in the corner. I feel the photo is much more dynamic and my eye is straight going to the subject. Nothing else is disturbing my eyes, no colors, not anything. The first tenth of a second I'm looking at this photo, I'm just going on the subject's face, which is what you want to get. This is where you want to be. Next photo from Andrew, one of my favorites. Alright, there's something I really love with this photo, is the dynamic of the shapes. You can see the knife here. Okay, let me show you the overlay like that. You can see the knife, the fish, the other fish like that. You create shapes, you create triangles. It's all coming back together, which is something very, very dynamic in photography. Triangles are very, very strong shape, a very hard shape. Triangles, unlike circles, are more hard. Circles give a more feeling of softness. Triangles give a feeling of something hard, some harshness, which I think is going really well with a half-cut fish, the raw market, the knife, etc. You can see the color as well. There's a lot of reddish tones. These are really interesting. Unlike the shots before, which I think would work better in black and white. It might be a pity to turn this shot in black and white. We would lose this reddish feeling here, which is going well with the shapes. So this shot was taken in a market, I guess, cutting the fish. Interesting depth of field here. We don't really need to focus on the knife. We know what it is, we understand what it is. We focus on the fish here. Some disturbing colors here. Alright, we have very brown, reddish, black tones here, while this yellow, purple and blue come in the background. It's a little bit disturbing. We're gonna see how we can work on that. Once again, it's a very dynamic shot. It's very simple. We understand. I really like also this fish coming out here. I like the composition. I like the next Andrew. I really like these shots. Chicken legs, chicken feet up in the air, the feet in the market, ready to be sold. So first thing that I like here is the pattern. You know, the pattern, very interesting in photography as well. When a pattern is coming back, gives a nice dynamic to the photo. The leg right in the middle, in focus. The top of the nail here, in focus. Very nicely done. Nice bokeh here. Even though I feel this one can be a little bit distracting, it's taking a lot of attention on the photo. These ones are alright. This one has a bit of color, but this one, maybe we should work on it later. A very shallow depth of field here. I feel maybe we could have add a little bit of sharpness into the rest of the leg by closing the aperture a little bit. I know markets are dark places. You often need a wide aperture if you don't want to push your ISO on the roof. That's probably what you were aiming at here, Andrew. I do like the symmetry here of the two legs. See that? It's really interesting. It looks almost like the chicken is jumping in the air to pose for your photo. You know what I mean? Trying to give you the fingers. Alright, so talking about what we could have done better here. I'm not sure what to say about that. I was thinking about colors first. I thought to give a more dynamic to this pattern, getting rid of the colors would have been something interesting. But the more I think about it, the more I think I like these yellow tones. I like the yellow tones of the chicken. If I turn the shot to black and white here, maybe add a little bit of contrast, of exposure, it's not the same thing, right? I do like the tones of the feet. I do like the reddish colors here. So I like the reddish colors, but maybe I could add a bit more of it. I'm going into the saturation slider and add a bit more saturation in the reds. That's a lot. A bit of saturation in the reds. It's gonna enhance this pattern here coming back on every feet. Trying to play with the yellow. There's a lot of yellow adding saturation. A little bit. What about the oranges? See, that is too much. we're not gonna touch that. So about luminance, you can see there's some kind of purplish things here. So if we want to have more attention on our main chicken foot, which is in focus, we could maybe get rid of some light into the background here. And you can see, playing with that, I can make some chicken feet in the background a little bit darker. I can increase the luminance into the nails, as well as the front feet. The front feet are more orange, behind here is more yellow, and on the left side is more magenta. So you can control which part of the photo you want brighter, which parts you want darker. I do not think, Andrew, we need this whole area here. Okay, look, it's completely empty here. We have a little white thing here we could get rid of as well. I think by cropping our photo like that, we would keep only the vital informations. I do not think we lost anything interesting with this cropping, which doesn't show here. Sorry about that. What we could try and do as well, as I mentioned before, this white spot, so we could use the spot removal tool, Q shortcut, and maybe we could try to remove that. Not sure how Lightroom is gonna handle that. It's picking up this area here. I do not understand what's going on. It still shows that black. I think it's because of the lack of pixels on your photo. But we got rid of that, and I think our attention is not taken away by this. I do like this one though, and I like the color one, the green one, the orange ones here, but this one was a little bit distracting. So I got rid of it, and I think but it's a nice shot. There's not much I want to touch on it. There's not much I want to do about it. So keeping it like that, I think, is fine. Next photo, Andrew. I really like this photo. I really like the look of this Chinese man looking straight at you with a little smile. There's a nice complicity between you and your subject on this photo. Very interesting. I love the tones, the red tones coming back all over the photo. We have red here, we have red there, we have red on the clothes. Very, very nicely done, Andrew. There's a nice dynamic as well. Alright, the lines of the photo, the direction of the photo, all these lines converging over there, giving us a nice direction, a nice way to look at. Okay, you're telling our eyes in which direction to look at the photo, and our subject is right in the middle. So it's a great photo as well. There's not much I could say about it. Few little things. So it's always more dynamic, Andrew, to try to have a rule of third in your photo. If you take a portrait of someone with a plain background, like a blue sky or a plain wall, you can put your subject in the middle. It enhances the subject right in the middle. When you have a lot of details like this in your background, you may as well want to put your subject in 1/3 of the photo. If you had your subject here, tilting your camera a little bit on the left, first your subject not so much on the side. Okay, leave a bit of space for the subject to breathe on this side. You don't want to stick your subject on the side. You would have had a rule of third, alright, your subject being on 1/3 of the photo. You would have had a bit more of this lantern here. See, we have a little bit of lantern coming out on the side. We would have seen a little bit more of it. If you had been a little bit higher, maybe you could have seen this whole lantern here, not hiding a little bit of it. But it's nice the way you did it. I'm not sure we need that though, this little piece of bluish things and white things. So if you had framed your photo a little bit more on your left, you would have had a rule of third, you would have seen this red lantern, and I think it would have given a better dynamic to your whole photo. What I feel we could have done as well, look at your histogram here. Alright, you can see we are quite dark. We have few blacks, we don't have any white, so adjusting a little bit the slider. Look at how the light becomes very interesting on his face. Let's see with the whites. There's a lot of whites on the lanterns behind. We're going to be careful with that. We don't want to overexpose this area. We don't want to overexpose his jacket here. So there's something quite interesting. Using the brush now, I'm going to remove the mask overlay. Adding a little bit of brightness, maybe clarity and sharpness. So clarity is it's a kind of sharpness for the midtones. It adds lots of details, adds some contrast as well, I feel. And look at how his eyes are popping up now. Alright, you add this, he has a very nice catch light in the eyes. You want to enhance that. So adding a little bit of this here, I think is quite nice. You can play with a slider. You can see this is way too much. You can see where you can move the slider to get the best result for his eyes. I think this is a nice one. Something else we could have done, so it's a bit tricky to play with the colors here, because if you touch the red, you're going to touch all the photo with all the red. The green, for example, the green could have been a little brighter. You see, making the green a little brighter. I would have liked to decrease the brightness on this part of the jacket, but if I touch the reds, I'm going to move all the reds, so I don't want to do that. I still would like to add a bit of light on his face, just a little bit. So I'm going to take a new brush and I'm going to increase, so I'm not going to touch the sharpness. I'm going to increase the size of the brush like this and just add a little bit of exposure like that. Move the slider, something like this. So I just add a bit of light on his face, enhances the subject even more. He has a great look directly at you, very sharp, very nice. I think he's a really friendly guy when I see this photo. So I enhance his face even more. And we still have a lot of attention on these red lanterns here, which once again would have been a little bit more on the right side if you had tilted your camera, if you had framed your photo a little bit more on the left, would have given you a little better results. Next photo, I guess this is in China again. This man doesn't look Vietnamese, so I guess he's in China when I see this sign as well. So very nice look, straight in the middle. As I said before, you have a plain background except for this. Subject in the middle works well. I like your exposure, it's clean, it's sharp. I like the texture behind, the background, the pattern coming back. It is very striking, it's clear, it's simple and efficient. I really like this photo. Trying to move on the black and whites here, you can see it could have been something interesting to do, unless you like this red thing here. Okay, we could have maybe moved this, turn this photo into black and white, but I do like the red tones. I do like the tones of his face as well. Something which is a little disturbing to me, if you had, I guess, moved your camera, if you had framed your photo a little bit more on the right side, moving your photo a little bit more on the right side would have, oops, sorry about that, this is what I need to do. First we would have had a little bit bigger stripe here, unless this was a very very small stripe and that was the end, but having a little bit of this red and getting rid of this line here, which I think is not necessary here. You would have had only the plain wall and the red stripe on the side, getting rid of that. We cannot crop the photo to get rid of that now because the subject is framed, it's taking the whole frame, so we would lose some of him if we were to do that. I like his look. There's no catch light in his eye. His eyes are very small. Trying to add a little bit of brightness in his eye here or here would be a bit strange because it's such a little area, I feel. But you know, it's a very simple photo. It's very clear and simple, and this is what you have to try and do in photography, keeping things very simple. So this is what you manage to achieve here. Next photo from Andrew. This man working on a window. I guess this is again in China. Very nice tones here. Andrew emailed me before. He likes. He's working on a series of men at work, people, workers in the street, things like this. So I think that's maybe how he got the idea of doing that. The reddish is very interesting here. Okay, you have the red coming here, you have the red coming back here. You see as a circle, you got two symmetric circles here with very straight lines in the middle. You can see that here and here and here. So you have a very soft round circle shapes here and here on both edges of the photo, and everything right in the middle is straight. That is very interesting. That is, I think, what makes this shot interesting when you look at it. Okay, next thing I can say, I like how the focus on the hand of the worker. We can understand he's a worker fixing the window. We can see details here. I do feel though, I tried something, Andrew, with your photo, and I turned it to black and white like that. And when I did that, I realized I could now see so much more detail onto the worker's hand. So it's a pity doing that. You had such nice red tones, but I feel the tones were so strong that you lost a bit of interest on your subject. What I feel now could have been done better is when I see this area here. Okay, I would like to see a little bit more of the ladder. I guess this is a ladder. I am not sure. You're cutting the signs here, which could have given another nice harmony with this one. Maybe you could have cropped this sign in half like this and adding a little bit more on the left. I do like the other worker behind here. Okay, we understand the situation. It's really nice. The middle, the framing of the window is very dark in the middle. This is something maybe we can work on when I play with my slider, increasing the shadows. See, all this slider comes back. I will add more black though to keep some contrast in my photo. You can see I still have a bit of black here, which is good. Have to be careful with these overexposed parts, but I think it works well here because it balances the darker area down here. So there is a good balance. Once again, I feel, Andrew, I guess this is completely up to you. If you want to have this in color or black and white, I liked it better in color before. I tend to like it better in black and white the more I look at it. Well, this is a personal taste. You to see what you prefer. So, Andrew, for our last photo, I'll try to be a little bit fast because it's a long video, I just realized. It's a nice video. Well, sorry, a nice photo. What I like with this photo is that it really shows China today. The contrast with the modernity, the car here. You can see a higher building there, and the architecture of the old houses here. So it's nice to see, to be able to show that today. It's not much a stereotype of China. It's really what China looks like today. This man looks nice. It's nice. It's in focus. The exposure is nice. There was a nice cloudy light, so it's really good for portrait. You don't have any strong shadows under the eyes here because of the clouds you had. So this is nice. What I realize here, it's a little bit messy in the background. There's nothing you can do about that. Okay, it's Southeast Asia. It's like the fish in the market. There's always some plastic bags or trash around. A little tip here. Okay, there's a little bit of colors here. The red is recurrent coming back, but I don't think it's a real plus in the photo. There's something really nice to do when you want to get rid of a mess in a photo. It's turning to black and white, and let me show you here. If I turn this photo to black and white, okay, I use this mode here, which is not ideal. It adds a lot of grain, etc. But it's just for the example. If I turn this photo to black and white and using this button here, I can compare before and after. That's really useful when you do converting to a photo. I can tell that, you know, this woman in red here, which was a bit distracting, and the car, and the colors, and this, it's kind of going away. So I think it helps to enhance your subject. You still have these bright lights, these bright parts of the car which are a little bit disturbing. What we could actually do here using the brush is probably add a little bit of exposure on the man's face. But let's try to add a bit. Ooh, that is way too big. Let me come down a bit. Okay, something maybe like that. Okay, we're gonna take this off, and you can see, and now I can play with the slider. That's way too much. So it was like that. I'm just gonna enhance his face a little bit like that. Maybe add a little bit of clarity. Maybe a bit of sharpness. Sharpness, you have to be careful, don't go above 50, usually 30, 25 is a good number. Okay, and you can see how our subject is really enhanced here. That's really make it. I'm gonna remove clarity in the whole photo. You know, as I said before, there are many photographers using way too much clarity and giving you over sharpened photo like that. People tend to like it. I personally don't. So I'm gonna remove a bit of clarity. I think it's good. So you see, when you look at the photo on the right, the eye is just taken away by the subject's face. We have nice lines leading to our face. You know, the lines are all going together here into our subject, who is right in the middle. If you had waited a little bit, I don't know what was the surroundings. Maybe it was busy with motorbikes and people and bicycles, but maybe if you had waited a little bit more for this woman to go away, I would have taken this away and make it more simple to look at. Alright, Andrew, it's been a long video. I'm gonna post that now and share this with you. Thank you.